I made me a nice little drink for Friday night, so we're doing pretty good.
Nice.
So, how have you been? How's everything since Rare Bloom?
Going pretty good. It's been pretty busy. I'm trying to get a lot of little things done, and so kind of my attention is definitely divided quite a bit. But it's been a good time. I mean, I really enjoyed Rare Bloom and meeting new people and seeing all my friends that I met, at the summit the year before. It was a really good time.
So you had been to multiple of those events.
So I went to the Cardano Summit in Laramie, Wyoming in 2021. That was the
that must have been a fun one.
Oh, it was great. And the nice thing about the summit was it was kind of the opposite of Rare Bloom. Rare Bloom is probably what it should have been like, but in a way I'm kind of glad it wasn't. If you remember in 2021, they did this big push to get everything automated, and every 8 hours they had it on a loop, so you could just watch the summit over and over again for those 3 days, 2 or 3 days. There was like literally next to nothing live, and so if you weren't watching a screen, you were forced to go mingle with people, otherwise you were bored out of your mind. And so it really it made you become a little bit extroverted and go out and meet some of these people, and the trajectory of my pool and my presence in crypto has been greatly affected by that, because it was such a good experience. So that was a lot of fun. Whereas Rare Bloom was, hey, we're gonna have people on stage, real life people that you can listen to, and it was good that I had all those established connections beforehand. It made it easier to connect at Rare Bloom, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that was so crazy. So I like to stay in the background, like a lot of other people. I know it's weird having a podcast and everything like that now, but saying that you like to stay in the background. But whenever I first showed up to Rare Bloom, I was just kind of walking around. I was like, okay, I don't really know anybody, and oh, nice booths. And then like as the days went on, it was like, okay, we're all in the same team.
Yeah.
And so
I went to CNFTCon the week before out in Vegas, and I've been working with a couple of different groups or projects that were going to be there, so I knew I'd see people I was working with. I knew I'd see people I recognized from the summit the previous year, but I hadn't been to anything in between. And I'm not really an outgoing guy, and so I got there on Thursday night, right? And a lot of people came in on Thursday, even though it officially didn't start until Saturday. And I get to the hotel about 9:00 at night. I check in and I decide I'm going to go downstairs and mingle in the casino, the bar area, and maybe I'm going to see somebody. I'll just do a lap or two, and just in case, because this is what happened at the summit, just in case I might have a chance of recognizing somebody, I'm going to wear some Cardano stuff. And so I'm walking around with a Cardano shirt, a Cardano hat, and just felt like an absolute goober. And then eventually I saw one person that I knew, and then that turned into like 20 more people that kind of just came over right at the same time. And I ended up putting my hat in my pocket. I'm like, yeah,
we don't need this anymore.
This was a little overkill. It was, but me not being super outgoing, it's like, maybe I better, put a spotlight on so that people can see I'm with the Cardano. I'm wearing the Cardano gear, so I'm here with this convention.
Yeah, it's just awkward to start off with, because like I remember me and my wife, we got there and same thing. We went out to eat with a friend of ours that night, and we came back from dinner, and I was like, I'll just go down to the bar and we'll just kind of see who's out here. And sure enough, I just see a group of young guys, and I'm like, Cardano people? And they're like, yeah. and so like it ended up being like Patrick and Niels and
nice.
Like all those guys, and I had never met them before, so that was awesome.
Yeah, it's we're all kind of in the similar boat, whereas like we know who each other are because we follow on Twitter, we watch a video or something. But unless you're like working on a project, actively doing Zoom calls and stuff, we kind of know who everyone is, but at the same time we don't. So it's just kind of that weird, awkward first approach. But that's the one thing I love about the Cardano community is just how open everyone is. And I mean, you just walk up to somebody and, hey, come on, join us. Let me buy you a drink. And it felt like that the entire time at Rare Bloom.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. So what projects are you working on? What have you been working on since Rare Bloom? I know you like we met up in Rare Bloom with the World Mobile Token, so you're running an EarthNode.
Yep.
You're an ambassador for Adosia, if I remember right.
Correct.
You are also involved with, I think, a couple other things. Let me see. IAMX.
Yep.
You're an ambassador for them as well. Yeah. So talk to me about some of those different projects.
Well, it started with just me being a delegator a long time ago, right? The first day that Shelly started in mainnet went live, and I was a delegator, and I decided at one point maybe I should try and start my own pool. And with a lot of help from a lot of really good friends, I was able to get the pool up and running, and I learned how to operate it as well as do the marketing and everything. So the stake pool's always been the main thing, Trek stake pool. And then because of going to the summit and meeting people like Kyle Solomon from Drip Drops, Adosia, I met him at the summit last year. Got a really good connection with him and a few other guys, and I was on just a one-on-one call with Kyle back in March, and Kyle said, "Hey Rob, have you ever done 3D printing before?" I'm like, no, I don't know what 3D printing is. I've heard of it. I don't know what it is. He goes, "Get yourself a printer, learn how to print." And he goes, "We're gonna be doing this thing where we are actually gonna be building NFTs, three-dimensional NFTs, and selling them from a marketplace." And so I went out and I bought 7 printers.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go in for it. And
if you're going to do it, let's do it.
Why not? Why not? And so I learned how to do printing. I'm still kind of basic level. I mean, all my prints have been turning out really, really well, but I got a ways to go. I'm not using a resin or some of these other different, little bit fancier things, but learned how to 3D print, and now that's what got me on as an Adosia ambassador. They're calling all of their printers, they're calling them ambassadors. And so I got on with Adosia, and I've been helped them with all the testing. They actually have 2 guys from SpaceX who designed the actual rockets that go into space. They're designing these 3D parts for us for the initial rocket launch that Adosia is going to do. And
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's pretty serious stuff. And so I learned how to print, and they said, "All right, Rob, you're an ambassador here, and once we get this thing going, you'll be the one of the guys printing and doing the making the physical NFTs and then shipping them out." So I got on board with Adosia, and we're kind of in a holding pattern right now. We're just about ready to launch, pun intended, with that the rocket NFT. So that's going to be, hopefully doing very well very soon. But that's how I got into Adosia. Was just I was talking to Kyle. I said, I'm looking for some way to get involved, and he said, buy a printer. So I did, and I've been with them ever since. And then I was working on another project where I was hosting Twitter Spaces, and one of the guests on that project was Tim B from IAMX, and we were talking about what IAMX is, how it works, what it does, and he was actually really impressed with my interview, I guess, because the next day he messaged me and said, "How would you like to become involved with IAMX and be our host, and actually host Twitter Spaces for us the way you just hosted me on your space?" And I said, "Okay." So they had an open ambassadorship application at the time, and I applied for it, and they brought me the Identity Lounge Twitter Space hosts for IMX. We do that every Tuesday. And so that's kind of how I got involved with IMX. Was I was talking to these guys on a different space, and they liked it enough. They wanted wanted me to come and help, and we have a very, very good team there. It's really exciting. And then I'm trying to think. Oh, the World Mobile. My wife and I found out about World Mobile, and we decided we need to get into this. I felt like we were a little bit late to the Cardano stake pool, the scene. I mean, we're up, we're going, we're moving, but we're not one of the OGs, we're not one of the big pools. It's a grind, and we were talking, hey, if this is an opportunity, let's try and get out in front of it as soon as we can. And so the moment we were able to buy WMT here in the United States on the exchanges, we bought enough to reserve an EarthNode, which at the time it was, I don't remember the dollar amount, but it was 100,000 WMT is what you needed to have. And then you would basically reserve the EarthNode with 100,000 WMT. And as long as that never left your wallet, your reservation stayed.
I think that's like 50,000 ADA now.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, because it's about a 2-for-1 between the two. So it's quite a bit. And even with ADA going down, I mean, it's still quite a bit of funds. So we reserved an EarthNode, and then there was the auctions going on, and we're talking, do we just beef up our numbers to have more of our own delegation, or do we try and get some more with the auction, and maybe run more than one, or get a second reservation and sell it, or get a second reservation and partner with somebody else for it. So we looked into that, and we were able to actually secure a couple additional EarthNode reservations. I'm not really sure where that's going to go at the moment right now, but I mean, I might be running three EarthNodes. I might be running just the one. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
But lots of fun stuff there. And with that, we noticed there's not a whole lot going on with World Mobile as far as the community. We wait for the updates to come from the official team, and there's a Telegram channel for the EarthNode operators that was started by one of the community leaders. But other than that, there's not a whole lot of talk going on. And Theo from Chef Pool approached me at Rare Bloom, and a couple of others as well. And he said, I have this vision to start an alliance of EarthNode operators. And that way we can get out there in front, because there's not a lot happening right now. Let's go make some noise. Let's get people encouraged. Let's find ways to help others grow as they get ready to become EarthNode operators. And so a few of us, myself, Theo, Cal from Clover EarthNodes, and then a friend of mine, Nick, who's doing IAMX with Theo and I, we kind of helped formulate the EarthNode Alliance. And every Saturday we do a Twitter space where we try and highlight other EarthNode operators, and if we can get guests from the actual World Mobile team, we get them on as well to interview them, find out what's going on, and try and break any news that's coming out, and explain it, and just get people excited about World Mobile. So, I mean, between all those projects, it's obviously quite a lot to do with your spare time.
Oh my gosh, you are so busy. And then, yeah, I'm guessing you also hold down a full-time job as well.
Yeah, I do. So I'm married, and we have 5 kids, and we live on a farm, and we have cows and chickens, and that's my hobby, I guess, is not the kids, the chickens and the cows.
Yeah.
I'm a full-time sergeant with the police department, and so I work at the police department full-time. We homeschool our kids, we have the farm, we have a lot going on around here. And then, by the way, I have these little side things going on in crypto.
By the way, I also own 7 3D printers, and I'm an ambassador for IAMX and Adosia, and
Right.
Oh my gosh, man. You're so busy, especially with 5 little ones. I only have 2 boys, and I know they keep me busy.
Yeah, they can be a handful.
And you guys are homeschooling, which that's awesome. I love that. So I mean, whenever we're looking out into, oh, by the way, with raising cattle and everything, up around where you're at, I don't want to say it, but my brother-in-law, actually, he manages a few restaurants up in that area.
That's
So
right. You were telling me about that.
yeah, so maybe you guys could get in touch or swing by his place, talk to him for a bit.
Threw a couple
So
pounds of burger at his face or something.
yeah, here's a couple steaks. Enjoy.
Yeah, catch.
But no, he has a blast in that area and goes to the games sometimes, goes to concerts. So
Yep.
it's
Yeah, I told my wife.
a
So
blast.
yeah, we're kind of in the Midwest, Iowa, Nebraska area, and it's kind of. I told my wife, I said, when I retire, I want to get season tickets to the Cornhuskers, and
Oh man, that's
and
a waiting list.
she's like, that's not going to happen. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm a big Texas A&M fan,
Ah,
and I would love to get season tickets to A&M, but that's at like Nebraska, that's a waiting list.
yeah.
And it's alumni first, and even with alumni, you have to donate a certain amount just to get put on the waiting list.
I think it's like $500 or $700 just to be considered on top of the ticket price.
Right.
It's pricey.
Yeah, and that's just like, if you want your name in the hat.
Yep. Yeah, we need ADA to go back up above $3 for that to happen, I think.
Right, no kidding. Speaking of, like, everything seems to be tanking right now. And I was like, I wonder why. And it looks as though during the congressional hearings, they were singling out Binance. And I don't know if it was because of that or because of anything internal, but the same people that were doing the proof of reserves for Binance and crypto.com and a couple others, they were doing the proof of reserves, not a full audit, but just proof of reserves.
Mhm.
It seems as though they've said, no, we don't want to be involved in crypto anymore. This is enough for us. And so I don't know what that entails, but that doesn't seem to bode well for crypto.com or Binance.
Yeah, it's I think there's a lot of issues going on right there. My wife was just telling me about that just a few minutes ago. She was reading that article, and I think between that and the Feds continue to jack up interest rates and just some other things, the fear of inflation and recession and everything else that seems to be pretty prevalent right now. I think that you're going to see markets really go down and people just try and get out. And also with the things like with the FTX that's going on, where people that are associated with that are going to be looked at hard for being complicit in it. And maybe some of these audit companies don't want to even be associated for that reason. It's, hey, we don't do anything wrong, however, we don't want to be accused of anything,
and we don't want our name around that.
Right.
And so,
Especially if it tanks. Well, what did you do wrong there? It could really hurt their business.
yeah, and especially if they're like, yeah, we validated proof of reserves, and but we didn't check out liabilities.
Right.
And so they're using liabilities out the wazoo and on leverage. And looky there, liabilities outweighed assets, and people wanted their assets.
Yep.
So again, not your keys, not your crypto, and don't use leverage.
Oh, exactly.
So you're also involved a little bit with Ergo. So
yeah.
For anyone that doesn't understand Ergo, if you could go ahead and explain Ergo, explain what they're doing, kind of their roadmap, if you will, as much that you know of.
And I'm probably not the best person to talk about this. I do a little bit, but mainly the I was drawn to Ergo because there's so many people in the Cardano community that have talked about it. Charles has talked about it in the past quite a bit, and Daniel Friedman is a big name both in Cardano and in Ergo, and he has been an early and staunch supporter of Trekpool, and so he happens to be a big Star Trek fan. I'm a big Star Trek fan, so we've just gone on back and forth for a long time, and it's one of those where you develop a relationship with somebody, and you tend to pay a bit more attention to what they're saying because you've come to know them personally and trust them. And so Daniel's, he's building on Ergo. And so I started to get into it. But Ergo is a proof of work like Bitcoin is, with a max cap of coins. And forgive me, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but it's a max cap of coins, just like Bitcoin is. And so it functions under a similar premise. However, they're able to build layers of utility within the Ergo. And so there's NFTs on Ergo right now. There's other projects that are building. Daniel's building an entire business involving real life commodities and putting them on the Ergo blockchain. He is over in Sri Lanka recently and worked out a deal with the Tea
So
Grower
like, yeah, I
Association.
was gonna say it was like tea shops or something like that.
Yeah, it's tea and cinnamon, I believe, are the two the growers that he's been working with. But he signed an MOU, a memorandum of understanding, with these guys, um, and so it's you're taking real life commodities, you're putting it on the blockchain, and you're allowing for both businesses to reach new areas they might not have otherwise. They're also building a bridge. Between Cardano and Ergo, a proof of stake to a proof of work, which is a pretty cool concept, I think. That's that could be a bit of a game changer in terms of getting more eyes on Ergo as well. So unfortunately, like I said, I don't know. I'm not so studied up on Ergo other than kind of what I just said. I've been trying to slowly build my collection, and I had a couple of crypto miners that I was mining Ethereum with back in the day, and I basically I don't like Ethereum. I've never really cared too much for it, just how it worked, and even the community. It wasn't something that I fit into personally, and so I would mine Ethereum because it was the most profitable. But as soon as I would get that payout, I would convert it into something else, whether it be Bitcoin or Cardano or ERG. And with Ethereum going proof of stake, there's no reason to mine it anymore. So all the miners kind of jumped ship, and I saw the writing on the wall. So I converted my miners over to the Ergo algorithm, and I've been mining ERG. And so it's not much. I mean, it's like I think one ERG a day I'm getting. So I figure the price right now is like $1.30. So it's not it's not like it's going to make me millions or anything, but I'm helping support that network. I'm mining and I'm slowly adding to my stack on top of buying with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, Ergo seems like a great project. I've been really impressed with the high quality amount of people that they've brought in. And it's just anyone that's been around the Cardano space for a while has just really taken a liking to Ergo as well. Especially like Daniel and a few others like Charles, you mentioned him as well. And they're just all right. This seems like a fun little test bed almost.
Mhm.
Like let's just see what they're doing. Let's see what they're up to. They seem like great guys. They're putting out good work. They want to collaborate. They want to actually build a good network. And it seems as though they're doing things in the right direction. So big shout out to Ergo and anyone working on them.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's the thing I like about Cardano as well. Um, I feel like Cardano brings in a lot of high quality individuals, high intelligence, high quality people that it just feels like a better community, a community that's not just so stuck on, hey, one Lambo, one price go up, one moon, all that stuff. I feel like there's something more, and I think it starts with at the top with how many scientific papers does Cardano put out now? The number's growing every day, it seems like. And so it starts at a good fundamental layer, and the people that are attracted to it are the people that are going to want to see it through. And I feel like with Ergo, I'm seeing the same thing in that community is high quality people that are helping grow it and helping move it forward. And they have a laid out agenda. These are the goals that we want. We're trying to establish these things, but they have the people there to do it. And that's what's so encouraging about the two communities and how they kind of have a similar following, and a lot of people are the same in both communities. It's just which one do you want to build on? But uh, I'm definitely impressed by the people that I met in person from both communities.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it says a lot about who you are. It says a lot about what you stand for whenever you actually show up in person and then you get to meet all of the people in there. And I mean, if you show up and Max Kaiser is doing baptisms, like Bitcoin baptisms, you're like,
Right.
oh, come on, guys. And if you show up and people just can't help but be negative towards one another. It's like, come on, like same
Right.
team. We're such a small niche group. Doesn't matter if you're a Bitcoin person, Ethereum person, Ergo, Cardano, or uh, anything else. Like name your good blockchain community who's actually out there to do good stuff. The quality of the people speaks volumes about your project.
Right. And that's why I think it'd be really interesting to go to one of these things like the consensus, where
Mhm.
all these different blockchains are there, and just to see how people interact with each other, from different blockchains. Because I wasn't at consensus this past year, but um, I have friends that were there, and just hearing the stories about how they interact with people from different chains. It was a pretty respectful, pretty decent thing overall. And by the comments you read on Twitter, is like, there's no way, these guys are going to kill each other. And it seemed like everyone's getting along, and maybe that's just the power of the internet. It just amplifies your juvenile tendencies or something. But
You you ever seen that video of the two dogs like barking between the chain link fence? And they're just going at each other, and then the person just pulls back the chain link fence, and then the dogs get along.
yeah, exactly. I showed that to my wife the other day.
Yeah, that's crypto Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Charles makes all these comments about XRP, and people, oh, I can't believe you said these things about XRP. But then whenever they meet him in real life, they're just like, oh, you're a great guy.
Yeah, Charles and Brad are friends,
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on. But I mean, that's the part of the crypto community that I'm like, all right, like clearly we are a young community.
Yeah.
The majority of the the whole industry is below 35 or 35 and below.
Mhm.
And so it's very telling to me that we seem immature because we kind of are immature
Right.
in comparison to the 60-year-old wealth managers or uh 95 plus year old CEOs like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of are immature, but we're
Well,
building. It's the next big revolution.
I think about it this way. It's when you have, your different stock companies, right? The big ones. You don't see Amazon and Apple employees going after each other this way, right? But you will, if you remember I don't know if I'm sure it's still there, the website StockTwits. I used to
Oh
try and
yeah.
one time I tried for a while to try and trade stocks. I lost a lot of money because I wasn't very good at trading. But you're on StockTwits every day, and trying to, see which one's gonna pump and dump and everything, and try and get onto that. And just the immature comments that you're hearing from all those people. It's like, that's what crypto Twitter is. There's not everyone, just they get they rally around their own coin, their own interests. But in reality, we want the stock market to go up because we all want to make money. We want the
Mhm.
crypto markets to go up because we all want to make money. And like I said, I think the more mature you get, the more you get away from the stock twits crowd and those types of things. But a funny story about Warren Buffett.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I've actually I signed an NDA, but I think it was a long time ago, and this doesn't really apply. I have done security work for Warren Buffett.
Oh, like
I've
personally or
yes.
oh, nice.
Being a police officer, I kind of have some connections with different groups and different people, and so I jokingly say this, but it's true. I have both parked his car and peed in his toilet. I used to work at the office, and we'd have to park his car for him. And then also, there's when the Berkshire Hathaway conference comes into town. At one point I had to uh, go over to his house or something, and they're like, "Hey, if you need to go to the bathroom, it's right in there." Okay.
Sure. That's hilarious.
So, yep, probably one of a few people that can actually say that.
Yeah. I mean, he's everyone. I remember in 2021, stock market was just going nuts, and uh people were just ragging on um, on Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway because they only had like a 12% return or something along those lines in 2021.
Right.
And then they were stacking cash, and everyone was going, "What are you guys doing? You're crazy. The market's going up." And they're like, we have a lot of assets.
Yeah.
We're just stacking cash. This is we think it's going to go down, and so we're holding cash." And they're like, "Oh, you guys are crazy." And then sure enough, Fed's raising rates into inflation rising, and everything turns down. And before gas prices went crazy, they bought oil, and they owned a portion of ExxonMobil, I believe, and I think they're set to make like 20% returns this year.
Well, everyone else is in the negative pretty much.
Oh yeah, everyone else is negative 15 to 30% easy. If you're in the
Yeah.
crypto market, you're down anywhere from 65 to 90+%.
Right.
And so I mean it's crazy. Just the foresight to know, like, no, I've been around the block a time or two, guys.
Yep. Been there. Well,
Yep.
that's one of the things, you talk about projects I'm involved with. We do these podcasts, Theo and my friend Nick and I do these podcasts, sorry, Twitter spaces for IAMX every Tuesday. And we had a couple weeks ago, we were trying to do a state of the project report for them because this is right after Ardana did their thing, Ardana and Orbis, and
They did their whoops, we're out of here.
yeah, sorry, we're out of money. I don't know how. It's weird. And so, IMX is they're trying to build things the right way, and know your customer, know your business, decentralized identifiers, verified NFT projects. They're putting all the background into these things so that way you can know that when you buy into something, it's going to be the right thing, and you're not going to get a rug pull. And you establish a history with these groups, these companies, these creators that you're dealing with. And so one of the ideas that I had was, I said, hey, can we interview about your finances and your status right now, because this is a big thing. We want to know where your funding is coming from and where it's being spent right now and how much you have in reserves. And if we try and buy into the IMX ISPO right now with your stake pools, are we going to run the risk of just getting burned and have worthless tokens? And they I mean, I know the guys, right? So I'm not totally surprised, but I was a little bit surprised. They actually came out and they laid it out for us. And
That's awesome.
they basically said that, we have over $1 million in funding, if through private funding, through family and friends. We don't owe anybody necessarily anything, and they're real penny pinchers when it comes to how they spend their money. And so I said, how are you guys funded right now? I mean, you had the startup capital a year ago, but how are you funded right now? And they came out and they said, basically, when crypto was rising, we were pulling funds as it stayed high, and it started to come down, we pulled funds. And so that way, if you look at the charts a year ago, I think ADA was about 250, 225, somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there.
They were pulling ADA at that point. That way they could lock it in and not try and sell ADA for 25 or 30 cents right now to try and make ends meet. So they've stockpiled their cash so they could go on for a year plus, just with the funds they have. If nothing else happened with the ISPO, if ADA went to zero, they're okay. And to have a company that comes out and says something like that, it's like you talked about the Warren Buffett. It's like you stockpile cash and you wait for the right time, then you move in for that kill. When like he says, look for opportunities when there's blood in the streets. And that's kind of what IMX is doing. And they've what was so cool is they came out on a Twitter space and straight up said that. So that's very encouraging for me. Is that's the right strategy. That's the ant, not the grasshopper. The ant is storing away for the winter, and the grasshopper's out having fun. And it's that really impressed me. That really encouraged me to say, all right, I've picked a right project here, that they can not only do these things, but then be transparent and say that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it speaks a lot to them and to their character as well, to be transparent and to say that, yeah, we did sell ADA, and we needed the money. And who can blame somebody for taking a profit because you need to secure in your business?
Right.
I mean, I know that uh like I was on a I'm gonna shift gears a little bit, but on a similar topic. I
Mhm.
was on a Twitter Spaces with the Cardano over coffee guys, and we were talking about risk and how to manage risk with everything going on. It was right after the Ardana stuff and that whole debacle. And I just told them, I said, guys, here's my new way of approaching these projects. If you don't have a project launched, I'm not investing in your token. And that's just how it is. And so, and right before I hopped on there with them, I had sold my meld
Mhm.
because meld seemed like a great project, but I was like, look, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how they're managing their finances. I don't know. I haven't heard enough from them to really be in there. I don't know how they're doing personally. They could be doing great. I hope they are.
Right.
And but now I hear that their CTO left, or the equivalent of their CTO,
Mhm.
and the guy that was doing all their tech for him, at least I'll say that much. I don't know his official title. Um, and it is that a red flag? I don't know. You be the judge. To me, it is.
Well, a lot of not a lot of there's a handful of people that actually left Meld that are on the team at IMX now. And
Really?
I've been asking, because I don't know the story with Mel. I don't know the reason that these 5 or 6 people have left, but um, I think that's pretty telling too. That um, you know, like I said, you see team members leaving, joining something else. You see the fundamentals of that team that they're joining, and you like it, and then, like you said, maybe you don't see what's going on with Mel, but you definitely pay attention and you notice that you're not hearing anything.
Mhm.
So I can't really speak to Meld at all. I don't want to sound like I'm trashing because I have no idea. Um,
Right, and I wasn't trying to trash them either.
oh,
It's
for
just
sure.
like that's just where my risk tolerance is right now. I'm at a point where if you haven't produced something, because honestly, Indigo changed the game for me.
Mhm.
Indigo didn't put out a token. They did a fair launch. They built a project, and then they sold their token with their launch.
Yep.
And I think that is the most fair way to do it. And I think that they totally raised the bar and set the standard. And they took a little bit of catalyst funding. Great. You should. You should
Mhm.
be able to pay your people a little bit, or it should ease that burden off of the founders and the angel investors. And that's what Catalyst is for.
Right.
But that's not what the people's funds are for. Like that's not what the public's funds are for. Like as
Exactly.
stakeholders, we're being taxed to innovate on the blockchain. Like it's a 20% tax that we have to go to Catalyst because we want new projects on the blockchain. So
Mhm.
that's our tax. But on top of that, we should not be punished by projects rugging.
Yep.
And I think that if you can mitigate risk by seeing a project and by seeing what they're doing, not a roadmap, but actually seeing something live.
Right. And that's again, I guess I'm talking IMX because I know a little bit about them, but I'm also, the ambassador. So
Yeah, go for it. Pump your
not not
stuff,
not,
man.
not trying to shill them too much, but
No, I
um,
love it. I don't know very much about them. If you know them, send them my way. I'd love to talk to them for a while and do one of these with them.
absolutely, yeah, they're amazing guys. So they came out with they actually have working products right now, and they're doing other things as well, but they have their
Where's
feet in
this at?
both. Where's what at?
The working products, because I'm
Oh,
gonna go
okay.
check them out.
Yeah, yeah. So VNFT, verified NFT, they're working with NMaker, Patrick
Oh
Tobler.
yeah, yeah.
So what they're doing is they are taking on all the information from the creators of the NFT projects, and basically, without necessarily doxing the people, they're the verified NFTs. You link it to wallets, to websites, to social media accounts, to basically say, look, this is an established person, this is an established project. This is something that you don't. It's not some, it's also the legit one too. They take the policy numbers and they link those as well. So they're able to give you better confidence when you buy this NFT project at EndMaker. It's going to have this stuff embedded in it. And the first one to come out was called Teddy Troops, and that was by a very, very famous, worldwide famous, but a German street artist named Flying Fortress. And they put the first digital identifiers within the metadata of the Teddy Troops NFT, and it's gone on from there. Now it's kind of a, when you go to EndMaker to get your NFTs produced and minted through EndMaker, IAMX has their code in those NFTs. So that's a real big one. And then also if you go to, I think it's teddytroops.io, that's the website for the Teddy Troops NFT project. They have a portal there, and it's a collector's portal. And what they do is you simply link your wallet to it using your stake ID or your ADA handle, your receiving address, whatever, and you can link it into their website, and then it'll go read your wallet and tell you, all right, you have 15 Teddy Troops NFTs. Here are all the different features that you have on yours. And so maybe there's 97 features of this one item, right? This one attribute. You have 14 of those 97, or you have 25 of these 30 attributes. So you kind of keep track of how your collection's building. So it's a real cool collector's portal thing they're actually putting into other projects that are coming out now as well. Other things that they're doing, they are doing things in real life. They have connections in the European telecoms companies, and they're acting as a one size fits all shop for digital identifiers to help these companies, because they talk about it. A lot of these telecoms companies might make $5 or $6 per year per customer because of all the expenses they have to go through on top of just the service. And they said that they can take it, and I think they said multiply it by 10. I might be wrong on that, but they multiply the income these telecom companies have by putting their sovereign identifier solutions in place there, the SSI and the DIDs. So they're actually taking blockchain type technology and putting it into real world projects as well. You've heard of companies like Lolly or Fold, right? Where you can get free Bitcoin as affiliate programs. They have an affiliate program coming out that I'm still waiting on the details, but I believe pays you an ADA.
That'd be sweet
for doing regular shopping. It's called mycashbacks.com or mycashback.com. That's coming out here very, very soon. So maybe by the time you air this thing, you might see that. But so they have funding coming in from real world projects, but they also have funding coming from these NFT projects. And another thing they're doing too is they're verifying. I can't speak today. They're verifying stake pools. And so that way, if you ever wonder, hey, this pool has a cool logo or something, but I wonder who they are, I wonder what else they're doing, they'll be able to verify it. So, hey, this is an established pool. This isn't, so-and-so, or this isn't this one, whatever company, where did all these funds just come from?
Kind of like the check mark and pool tool that links you back to, this is an ITN pool.
Correct.
Something similar to like that.
Yeah. So they'll actually verify it, and I've gone through the process already. Just waiting to get my, whatever I need to do to make sure my pool's verified. But, I gave them all of my different pool wallets, and I gave them my social media accounts and everything. So that way they know, hey, this is Trek Pool. This is where you find Trek Pool here, here, and here. So they're kind of helping you link things together. So that way you're not getting fooled. And if you remember, and I'll just say this because everybody has a negative story about the guy, but there is a pool out there, and the guy was off his rocker. He's from Portugal. He had a pool. It was called Welon, 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 and it stood for Wise Elon. And the guy had his fixation with Elon Musk. Then he changed it to Musk Pool, but he would just these incessant Twitter rants and just go off on everybody for everything, and then but also reach out to these celebrities and talk to them like they're friends of his, and they're listening, but it's just like this nonsensical stuff. And then finally he ran out of Musk Pool and he disappeared for a little while. Then he came back as Chef Pool, but not my friend Theo the chef
Right.
with two F's. So there's always, if you ever go to a Cardano meetup or something, you say, hey, Chef with two F's, everyone knows what you're talking about. And this guy was a lunatic.
Oh my gosh.
And I think my friend Theo lost some delegation because they thought they're going to his pool. They actually going to Chef with two F's. Well, when the Sunday swap thing came out, he's a lunatic, but he's very, very smart. He found a way to make some bots, and he made these bots that would spam Reddit and spam Twitter and a few other places, and basically saying, hey, if you're the only way to properly do the Sunday swap is if you follow these steps, because everyone wanted to vote for their favorite pools, right? So he was finding a way to trick people into using his wall, voting for his pool because of the Sunday swap program was broken. Otherwise, it was something weird. So
what a slime ball.
Totally. And actually Sunday swap caught wind of this and they actually banned him. And
good.
A short time later, his pool disappeared. But now we don't know where this guy's at, because no one ever knew his real name. We just knew that he was somewhere in Portugal. And so now it's like, who is this guy? If this guy shows back up trying to scam or spam in some other different way, how would we know? Well, if your pools are verified, if your social media things are verified, there's an established track history, like you just said with the ITN, the check mark at Pool PM. There's ways to just confirm identity without saying, hey, this is Rob. Rob lives in Iowa. Rob is Trek Pool. I just outed myself. Big deal. I don't care. Perfect. But a lot of people don't want to do that. So IAMX offers the tools to be able to do that without necessarily outing yourself and your home address and your phone number and everything.
Right.
But they still link all these identifiers together. So that's kind of a really, really cool thing to have. And it's a way to avoid some of these rug pulls and getting scammed or buying into the wrong thing on accident.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. I love that. Everything that you're telling me so far about IAMX, it sounds awesome. I mean, again, I'm going to go back to Risk, and I remember Traxia. Were you around for Traxia back in like 2017, like no, 2018 maybe?
I joined in the late summer of 2018.
I think that was right around whenever Traxia was really like I think they had just gained some funds. I think I put like 20,000 ADA in it, and they were doing not a Spaces event, but they were doing like a call. Maybe it was on YouTube, something along those lines. But I asked them a question. I said, how much runway does Traxia have left? Because the prices are down. We're not going to see, like, we don't know whenever smart contracts are coming to Cardano. We don't know, like, all of these things. And they sidestepped the question. And I thought, I'm out.
Yep.
And I ended up losing just a couple thousand ADA on it, but it wasn't 20.
Right.
And I was like, I don't trust these guys. If they're not willing to answer a simple question of how much runway do you have left, and they tried answering it, they're like, oh, well, the Traxia Foundation doesn't have a runway because they're a foundation, but these and these people, like, come on, just tell me the answer. Like, how many months you guys got left,
right?
Or years. And so the fact that IAMX was able to come out and actually talk about their finances, I love that.
Yep.
I think more projects should. And just tell us, hey, we're struggling a little bit. Maybe we need to merge with another project doing something similar. And then we can combine devs, let go of a couple devs if we need to. But the work that we've done doesn't go in vain and our people don't get blindsided.
Right.
And that's the important thing, is you have to keep your reputation. My dad told me a long time ago, he goes, son, you only get one name, make it worth something. And so any project that comes up and does something, everyone's going to be on guard for that guy with Chef with two F's. Right. Everyone's going to be on guard for the people that were running Ardana or Orbis or whatever. And so now we're on the lookout. We're like, okay, who are these guys? I mean, if SBF gets out of jail and in 20, 30 years, and he's like, guys, I have this great new exchange. Like, no, no, I think I'm good, man. I appreciate it.
Yep.
So reputation's everything.
Exactly. And for a while, you know, I remember excuse me one second. My phone was going off.
No, you're fine. I got one kid who we just had his concert last night, and my other son, he's at his 6th grade dance tonight.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so I understand you need to take a phone call if you need to take a phone call.
No, it was ringing.
Okay.
So you mentioned reputation, and when I first started in Cardano, I started buying in 2018. Almost immediately when I got into crypto, I researched Cardano and I said, this is something I want to be a part of. I like this. So I started buying the coin. You couldn't buy it on Coinbase at the time. They only had like 6 coins. So I had to, you know, learn how to, without any help from anybody, learn how to transfer from one exchange to another, because that's all there was for me at the time, was just these exchanges, right? I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I was brand new. And so I transferred funds over to Binance. I didn't put my checking account there. I just did a, you know, a crypto transfer.
Yep.
Litecoin or Bitcoin or whatever I was buying, you know, and I bought Cardano with it. And when staking came out, I started staking the first day, and I found a couple pools that I really liked. And this was back when saturation was like 67 million or something, 64, 67 million to saturate a pool. No, I'm sorry. No. That's what it is now. Forgive me. It was like 211 million. It was that was the original saturation, but it was 211 million in the pool. And so all these pools came out, some ITN pools and some that just started shortly after mainnet. And most of the pools I were staking with weren't the big ones, weren't the multi pools. They're these ones where I actually met the people, had back and forth conversations with them. Like, I like this person, I want to support this person. And so several of them had under 1 million at the time, and like we weren't making blocks for weeks and weeks at a time, you know, multiple epochs in a row without a block. And I didn't understand how everything was working yet. And so I got onto Twitter and I was making all this noise. I was, you know, trying to cheerlead these pools, but then I was also like, I don't know where this came from, but I was like, you know, stay away from these multi pools. Multi pools are bad, and you're a bad person if you like these multi pools. And I just would start mocking people on Twitter if they were multi pools, or talking about, hey, there's nothing wrong with these things, right? And I was just a jerk. And but the thing is, like, the person who knows the least talks the loudest, and that was me. And so eventually, you know, eventually I got Trek started, and real grind back in March of 2021 to try and build this pool up. And I had a lot of help, like a lot of good friends that came into my support. And eventually I started to get a better understanding of how the whole thing was working. And there's one person in particular that I was pretty critical of. And it was just one or two things that just struck me as, I don't like this. But it was Rick McCracken, and just something bothered me. Something that he said or did once, and I don't even remember what it is anymore. But the first morning of the summit, he was there to pick up at my hotel. He drove to pick up Andrew Westberg and a couple other people. And I caught him in the parking lot before the summit even started and said, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? He's looking around like,
you talking to me?
Yeah. Well, what do you want? And I apologized to him. I said, I am so sorry. I said, I was, you know, full of piss and vinegar, and I was trying to support these pools, and I said some things, and I tweeted at you, and I said, I was a jerk. I've since gone back and deleted all that stuff, but it doesn't change anything. I said, I was wrong, and I hope that you could forgive me. And Rick is one of my really good friends now.
Yeah, Rick's such a good guy.
He gave me his phone number at the summit. He's reached out to me. He's called me and texted me multiple times just to check on how things are going, run some ideas by me. You know, it's one of these things where I was bad mouthing this guy because I didn't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
But and like we talked about the reputation, that could have been my reputation.
Yeah.
But I decided I can't be that guy. I don't even know where that came from. It was just like I said, speaking out of your ignorance, I guess, and on how things actually work. And because of that, I've actually had a ton of opportunities because of Rick and some of his friends. Because Kyle from Adosia, Rick and Kyle work together on drip drops,
Mm-hmm.
and but I talked to Kyle about things too, and I just made sure that people knew that, hey, that guy that was making all this noise back in the day, I've seen the light. I've decided that that's not acceptable, and I went to like 5 or 6 people at the summit just apologized for being a jerk, and most were like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Who are you?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it felt bad to me, and so that's changed a lot of things for me, and I hope that my reputation now within the community, even as a small pool operator and a guy who makes a little bit of noise, hopefully it's all positive noise and it's a good reputation.
Yeah, I can definitely relate. I mean, we all say things that we know we shouldn't. We all sometimes act in a certain way we know that we shouldn't, or or whatever. I mean, whenever I was running Cardano Times, I had Kaizen reach out and he's like, "Hey man, how do I get involved?" And I was like, "Oh, I really want to start up a newsletter. If you want to read the audio for this," and he goes, "Cool. What compensation are you offering? Like, what is there anything going on?" I was like, "Well, you get compensated from YouTube," and I was just a jerk. Like I really was, and I told him I saw him at Rare Bloom, and I told him I said, "Hey man, I know this was years ago, but this has just been weighing heavy on me, and I'm sorry.
Mhm.
I was a jerk." And so yeah, anybody that hasn't gone to a conference like that, to it really meant a lot to me to be able to see him, and I'm so glad that he went as well. That way I could clear that off. And now we got along really great after I talked to him. And I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry," and he's like, "Dude, no big deal. Don't even worry about it."
Yeah. Well, Pritesh is just one of my favorite people. Hands down. I met him at the summit, and then again at CNFT Con in Vegas, and then a week later at Rare Bloom again. Every time I see this guy, it's just you just learn to appreciate him even more. And so I met him at the summit, right? And then not too long before Christmas last year, remember there's that thing where they identified a couple of pools that were running like dual block producers, and
Yeah, yeah.
what it was doing is it was causing forks, and then people that were lined up to get blocks right after them, because of the fork that was being produced by running dual block producers, a lot of people missed blocks.
Mhm.
And when it was brought to everyone's attention, and so many people just wanted to roast Pratesh. Well, what had happened was he had set up a block producer and then a fail-safe, a backup block producer, but he didn't code them right. And so what was happening was when he'd make a block, both of his block producers were running at the same time. So he was causing all these unintentional forks. And people say there's a maliciousness to it because basically what you do is you more than guarantee that you're going to win any slot battles, because you have two of your pool block producers against one of the person you're battling. So there's a better chance of winning those things, but it screws the people behind you. And so immediately people wanted to come out and just maliciously attack him for being greedy and selfish. And I'm like, if you knew Pratesh at all, that's the last thing that he is.
Right.
And so he got it fixed that the same day it was announced. Within a couple of hours, I think Andrew Westberg and a couple others reached out to him. They got it fixed. And within a couple of days, Pratesh came out and said, "Hey, I'm going through. I found I've minted all these blocks. And I've caused some problems." And he goes, "I would like to compensate anybody um, who I screwed over, basically, if I've taken one of your blocks away." And this was right at a time where I had the Cardano Foundation wallet, and so I was making, you know, 10, 15 blocks an epoch, whereas right now I'm making one or two, because
Right.
I'm a smaller pool. But I had missed several blocks. In fact, I remember one time I had 19 scheduled. I made like 14 of them. And my equipment was all working fine, but I was losing these either slot battles or something was going on there. And I reached out to him and said, "Hey, I don't know." I said, "I've missed a ton of blocks in the last 5 or 6 epochs. I don't think that has anything to do with your issue, what you're doing, but I just thought I'd throw my name out there just in case." Um, you know, uh, and he reached out, he looked up, he goes, "Rob, I've looked up all the blocks." He goes, "None of them are yours, but because I feel bad, he sent me 350 ADA.
Holy
Just
crap.
he sent me, and this is back when ADA was like at least $2, if not more. He sent me
Holy crap. That's like
350 ADA.
yeah, that's $1,000.
Right, right. Just because he felt bad that he was doing it to people and he wanted to help out the community in what way he could. And that just blew me away. And so what I did with that is I have a private Facebook group, and it's just for Trek Pool delegators. And I do giveaways a couple times a month. And I said, all right, the giveaway for the month of December, compliments of a friend. I never said who it was from at the time. But because I didn't want the drama to go on with Pratesh because he was trying to get out of it. I didn't want to highlight anything negative. I said, this is a gift from a friend. And so 35 delegators got 10 ADA. And that was my,
That's awesome.
my giveaway. And then I had a few more people, in terms of like 44 people, I think, jumped in for it. And so I think I gave ADA to everybody. I think I just threw 10 ADA to everybody. But that was Pratesh. I mean, that's the kind of quality guy that he is. And so again, like we talked about, this is the people in this community, who does that? Hey, you know what? I might have screwed up somewhere. You were not involved with it, but by the way, here's some ADA just because.
Yeah, I mean, he is a stand-up guy, and I cannot commend him enough for the work that he's done, for the spirit that he's had for our community. And he's just there are a few people in this space that that if I died, that I would want to make sure that my wife reached out to make sure that we get all of our funds in a way that she could understand it and without screwing her over.
Right.
And I would say like there's a handful of people on there that I would trust there. Pratesh is probably one of them.
Yeah, there's probably 5 people for me that I would trust with my keys.
Right.
And like you said, Pratesh is one of those 5. So also want to give a big shout out to my friend Maticus from Kiwi Pool and Keith from Power Pool. Those are 2 of the other ones that have not only helped me so much along the way, but again, I would trust them with my private keys and know that they would have my family's best interest at heart.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, and I love that we get to come together at these events. And honestly, this is what I'm doing that the podcast for, is so that way people can get to understand who we are more, and it's not so awkward whenever we go to these conferences.
Right.
So anyone that goes back and watches these things are like, oh, you're a regular person. Mm-hmm. Like, here, you raise cattle. Let's talk about cattle a little bit.
Right.
What type of cattle? Or is it Angus, Hereford? Like, what are we talking about here? And so, I mean, if the more that we can just break the ice and come together as a community, the better off we are.
Well, that's actually funny. That's part of my story. Is that's how I got involved in crypto. Is we had some land and I wanted to get cattle, and a girl that I was really close friends with from high school onward, she reached out to me and she said, hey, we have a herd and my husband wants to downsize. And so I said, how many are we talking about? What do you guys, she was, bring the family over and come look. And so I went over with my family. They have several kids that are right at my kids' age. And so the kids are playing. My wife is talking to my friend here. And then her husband and I, who's become one of my really close friends, have we walked around, he talked about cows and how to do everything. And I grew up in the city. I've never owned anything bigger than a cat before, and we go into this big machine shed garage, and I hear this buzzing. And I'm like, what's that? He goes, oh, those are my miners. I'm like, for what? Mining what? He goes, Bitcoin and Ethereum. And he takes me in he has this massive closet. He had about probably 180 miners going on.
Oh my gosh.
Both ASICs and GPUs. And I had no idea this was in the summer of 2018. I had no idea what any of this stuff was. I had heard the phrase Bitcoin, didn't know a thing about it. And so we talked about it quite a bit. I ended up buying a couple cows from him. And then about a week later, I found some more cows. So I was trying to get a big herd quick, a big starter herd. And I didn't have a trailer or a truck. So I said, hey, I found these cows about 2 hours away. Can you go with me to pick these things up and bring them over to my property? And so the whole time we talked about Bitcoin and how things worked. And that night he sent me a link. I went, bought $100 worth of Bitcoin on Coinbase to get the $10 free. Remember that deal?
Yeah.
And so I did that, and that started. And within a week and a half, I was buying Cardano on Binance.
There you go. So that's how I did it too. I bought Bitcoin on Coinbase, and then I moved it over to Binance, and then from Binance, I bought it, and then I moved it directly to Daedalus.
Nice.
And because before I bought anything, I had watched a lot of Andreas Antonopoulos, and so my background is in information system security, and so I have that degree, and then I also am an aircraft mechanic.
Oh wow.
And so whenever they're talking about things being redundant, I'm like, I understand that. I recalibrate aircraft code, so and aircraft calibrations, and so I very much lean into the analogies that they were saying about that. So
Yep.
hold on just a second. What's up, buddy?
Are you almost over with the meeting?
Getting close. What's up?
My tablet ran out of time.
Oh, okay. If you want, you can just run upstairs real quick and turn on a show.
I was doing that.
Okay. I'll.
It's okay if I have a snack real quick.
Yeah, for sure. And then once I get back up there, I'll unlock your tablet.
Okay.
Sorry, he ran out of time on his tablet.
I have the same conversation every day.
So what were we talking about?
I was telling you how I got into crypto by buying cows, and you talked about how the redundancy of what you learned from with watching the videos.
So we're working as an aircraft mechanic. We have tolerances. We have everything is a give and take. Is where I was getting with that, and so it really spoke to me whenever Charles was talking about, like, nothing's perfect, and everything is compensated with something else. So you want to do this, well, you have to give up these features. You want to do that, well, then you have to give up these features, and nobody has the secret sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, of course, that makes sense. And then I watched his whiteboard video, and I was like, well, that's cute, but how are you going to do it? And then I watched Dionysus Syndros, and he was talking about proof of work. And he really broke down how the Bitcoin code worked, and then how to just take snippets out of that and take a proof of work. And then you can run a sidechain on Cardano using the proof of work.
Nice.
I was like, that makes sense now. And so ever since then, man, I've been reading up on their papers, and I even told Rick, you mentioned that you're a big fan of Rick. I saw him at Rare Bloom,
Mm-hmm.
and I told him, I said, Rick, one of the most underrated papers, in my opinion, is the Kachina paper, which is talking about privacy, and it was talking about privacy sidechains. And then sure enough, 2-3 months later, we have Midnight and Dust and stuff like that. And I'm like, thank you. That's what I've been waiting for this. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. I didn't even think we were doing anything with it. I thought that was we were a couple years away from that. And so I was super pumped to see that stuff, man.
That's awesome.
But Rob, I'm gonna get up there with my son real quick.
Sure.
So if anybody can help you out, if anybody can support you in any way, how would they do that?
Well, the big thing right now is just trying to get the numbers up on the stake pool. One thing that I always tweet about is I say send 2% of your ADA to a pool under 2 million. You think about it. Say you have 1,000 ADA, right? What's 2% of that? 20 ADA. It's a small thing. Maybe you don't want to send something that small, but right now with stake pools paying about 4 to 4.5%, you're talking about 18 to 1900 ADA per epoch just to make 1 ADA in return. And so let's say you have 100,000 ADA in your wallet. and you want to support some other pools. You send 2,000 somewhere. If that small pool doesn't make a block, you're losing 1 ADA per epoch. It's not a huge cost to you, but 2,000, 5,000 ADA, something, I don't want to say small, but maybe it's not noticeable for you. That could really make the difference for a small pool. And so the big things are, supporting small pools. My pool is sitting about 1.9 million right now. So definitely delegation is always very helpful. I'm interested in learning more about projects that I can get behind. I've been very, very hesitant to put my name out there on projects. Just because, we talk about everyone wants to be part of the next ISPO and everyone wants to do whatever they can and be involved in as many things as they can. But what happens when you put your name behind it? And this is something that I learned from Rick McCracken, was he wants to see, like you talked about, he wants to see an actual product before he puts his name behind it, because his name carries a lot of weight. And I actually jumped into a project that he said, Rob, wait. And I kind of went in a little bit heavy, and I've been licking my wounds as a result. And this is one that Rick's also interested in, but he did not jump into. And so, everyone wants, every ISPO, everything. Let's get in heavy. All the Ardena stake pools. They're left wondering what now. So I'm definitely interested in looking at other projects and things that I can get Trek Pool behind, but I'm very, very leery about it, like we had talked about. And so that's why I'm really, really happy that I found something with established people like Kyle Solomon, with Adosia. I believe that's going to be a game changer as far as the physical NFTs. I'm a police officer, and I believe in security. I believe in having a secure identity, and that's why I like IAMX so much. So I'm a heavy believer. I'm one of those guys that if I find something I like, I really dive into it a lot. But the other thing I'd say on top of just the delegation for the stake pool would be, eventually I'll have my own Earth nodes with World Mobile. I tell everyone right now, hey, go stake to the general pool, because that's the only way to earn right now with your WMT. But once mainnet goes live, look for Trek's stake pool, or I'm sorry, Trek's Earth node. Those are ways that, that little bit of extra delegation, it might lead to a couple extra ADA, a couple extra WMT that I can either turn around to reinforce the pool or support my family with. So my pool is called Trek, like Star Trek. My
TREK.
TREK. My Twitter handle for the pool is Stake Trek, and the website is staketrek.io. So those are places that you can find me and more about me and the family. Really cute picture of my kids on the website. That hopefully that guilts people into wanting to delegate to Trek a little bit. But the reality is, just the more people I know, the better connected I feel with this community. And so, if nothing else, just give me a follow on either RobCardano on Twitter. That's my personal one, or Stake Trek. Give me a follow. I'll follow back, and reach out. It's about building these connections. And if we're going to be anywhere in person, let's connect in person. I've had a lot of fun at the summit, at Rare Bloom, and at CFTCon in Vegas this past year. A lot of fun meeting people, or becoming friends with people that I've chatted with, on Twitter, online. So, like I said, I just want to be part of this community, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm trying to establish myself as best I can.
Perfect. Anyone that's made it this far into the video, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Be sure and follow Rob, Stake to Trek. Go check out staketrek.io. Check out Adosia. Check out IAMX. I believe that all of those are great projects. And like, subscribe, share it with your friends if you like the content. Until next time, thanks everybody.
Thanks, appreciate it.